most of you guys are on OnlyFans. So have you encountered any issues with dating because of having OnlyFans?
I bet guys definitely get kind of upset, but it's like, if you're not gonna pay my bills, you can't tell me to stop making my income, sort of thing, you know?
I advertise as polyamorous, so I'm pretty straightforward from the beginning. This is what it is.
So one question on the polyamory. So what's the most amount of partners you've had at one time?
Like, that I'm in love with?
Sexual partners.
Oh.
Love or not?
It's an intriguing question, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm sure you'd love to know.
I've never really kept track. Is that something you do? Do you keep track?
Well, I'm
Do you,
typically...
You're a one woman person.
I typically only sleep with one girl at a time.
Gotcha. So you're monogamous, typically.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But so, I mean, and I'm speaking concurrently, so at the same time. So maybe not like same day, but say over the stretch of a 2-week period, a month period.
I would say 3 or 4.
3 or 4? Is that the most?
I don't see them all the time, like, you know.
Have you ever had like 7 at the same time?
No, that's a bit much. That's a bit much.
Bit much?
Hard to keep track.
Too much.
On Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
You get your Monday man.
And you're saying
your
like
Tuesday
you're
shorty.
dating them, right? Like you're actually in relationships.
Yeah,
Polyamory,
like,
like you're actually
say I have a
confirmed.
girlfriend,
Yeah.
and I'm very in love with her, and then I have a boyfriend, and I'm very in love with him.
Here,
Yeah.
leave,
No, I totally
leave this,
get it.
Eric, leave this up. I'm going to read it while it's here. Yo, VD Cars, thank you for the 200. You want men to be traditional and pay for things, but none of you act like traditional women. If I shared a photo of the national flags of Tonga, Albania, China, Morocco, Singapore, Tunisia, Switzerland, and Isle of Man, there would still be fewer red flags in that image than on this podcast.
Good one, actually.
I'm so traditional, but you just can't see that.
What
like,
is a
you don't
traditional
know.
woman?
How you know that we're not traditional?
Fuck tradition.
Like,
who cares about tradition?
I am not traditional.
Didn't one of you just say
I
you should go
am.
back
So,
to
like-
not paying bills for women?
That's not called tradition.
That literally is called tradition, yeah.
Nobody said I want my
No,
man
it's
to pay my
not.
bills.
Oh yeah, that's different. Like, you don't want
Men being
I'm just
providers.
polyamorous.
Men being providers is them being traditional, adhering to their traditional gender roles.
What's traditional mean?
And like traditional woman, it's who's staying at home and raise the kids. But I can't raise a kid by myself.
Well, I
with,
mean,
like, and
sure,
don't work.
But you can be traditional in
I don't
your
like.
behavior.
I'm so old fashioned. I'm monogamous. I'm so old fashioned in
Old-fashioned's a
so
better
many
word.
different ways because I was born and raised in Russia. It's like my mentality is like it's so traditional and old fashioned. But again, how you can know? Like, you can't, just because the way I talk, it's you can't see that.
I also think it's like way harder to be like quote unquote traditional in this day and age. Like just with how expensive just living is now, it is nearly impossible to be like a dude, like just a regular dude working a regular job and be able to provide for you and your spouse and a kid and like get a house. Like, that's insane. It's actually impossible.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't operate
With a
the same
regular
way.
job, yeah.
And so
in
like
America.
So like, you know,
Everyone's
people are just
getting
kind of reaching for like fewer and fewer fruits, because like you're not talking about just finding a guy that has a job anymore. You're talking about like a very small pool of men that have managed to like beat the odds and have a career that is sustainable, you know. But that's why this like idea of tradition, at least in America, is like impossible. It's like doesn't exist.
I don't think it's impossible, but you do make a good point that there are certain economic realities where it makes it harder for the man to be the sole breadwinner in a family. And
everything is a trickle down from that, isn't it?
As a traditional woman, should cook and clean? It's just a question.
Should what?
Should cook and clean?
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm thinking of traditional, it's more about just your demeanor, like how you act.
Yeah.
Okay.
How you act in the life?
Cooking and cleaning, like, that's cool.
So your girl can have an OnlyFans? Is that a way of acting, or
say
is that something different?
So I mean,
why wouldn't you want to date someone with an OnlyFans?
What if she's like super traditional, but it's her like really hobby, and because like my friend, she's like super traditional, typical Russian woman, has 2 kids, she's married, but she has like her own things about like not OnlyFans, but like sexual stuff, which she and for her it's like a hobby. So it's like, but she's still traditional.
That's fine, but I think a lot of men will look at women who are really invested in their career and think, for example, a guy who wants family and kids, he's going to look at a girl who's really invested in her career and think, well, maybe she's not going to be particularly involved or wanting to be involved in the household when it comes to raising the kids. Because, and hey, if she wants to pursue a career, that's great. But I think men might look at that and be like, well, maybe I want to pursue someone who might be more willing to work part-time or even not work at all and let me be the breadwinner, and they take care of the inner household while the man takes care of the outer household.
I totally agree with that. Like even myself, because I run several different companies, and I feel men are often intimidated by that. And like it's a turnoff because they want, and like I even looked at the guys that I would date, and they're all with somebody just like that would take that part-time job or was just working like a babysitting job. They were a teacher and they can just finagle their way out of there. But any girl that's running their own I think it is often very intimidating for men. Not all men, but a lot of men.
I can go ahead.
I can stop. I don't say stop my
Karen's
career,
comment.
but I'm like I can pause my projects if I'm really getting into the marriage and the kids. So it's like I still have my passion about dancing, like massage, all of that stuff. But if I'm like getting into a serious relationship and there, I think like I need like put more attention in there and into the family and relationship. I can like, oh, okay, my project can wait. And I'm like, yeah, that's
no, I couldn't do that. Not at this point in my life.
Yeah,
not at all.
I'm totally okay with that. So it's like, just again, like my family is my priority. Like my daughter is my priority. When I have a husband, my family is my priority. I can pause the business. I can pause everything.
In my relationship right now, I would say it's generally pretty traditional, where I make all the money, and my girlfriend, who's here in the studio, her main goal is to just have a family as soon as possible. And she has some career goals, but she's said, from the start, like as soon as I'm ready to have a kid, she's ready.
That's a full-time job,
Was she
raising a
taken
kid.
care of? Does her family have money?
Does her family have money?
Were her family taking care of her
I'm taking care of her.
before that?
She was, yeah.
That makes
I mean,
sense,
she had a job, she had an internship, but
Well, women who are independent on their own, they don't have an opportunity, or you're just going to be on the street. So some people have that hustle and they're working, and that's all they can do. So it's like, okay, now I'm successful, and now a guy comes around and I have all this, and then suddenly they don't want you because you're too busy. You're not hand and foot at them. It's an issue.
You wanted to go?
Yes, I just wanted to say something to what you just mentioned. My boyfriend himself as well, he knows I work and, I'm successful. He's successful, but he also says I don't have to work if I, don't want to, or because he could provide and he would provide because that's how he was raised and that's what he would want to do for the woman that he loves. So I love that you're doing that.